Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Tony Sirianni podcast. I am thrilled to have Brad Genser with us. Brad is the co-founder of Farther, which is a great firm. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me on, Tony. Great to talk to you.
So, just to sort of set the table, kind of what we're looking at. I mean, the wealth management space has changed so much, in the last 15 years, probably as much as it has in the last, 40. And it seems like the pace of change, continues. And a lot of that is driven by, technology. A lot of what drove the independent movement, technology sort of evened the field, quite a bit among, sort of larger firms and going independent. I certainly remember that with starting my firm. Matter of fact, a quick anecdote, since it's about me, I like to talk about it. The phone on my desk, I was constantly told, Brad, when I worked at a wirehouse, was $10,000 because it was a Watts line and all this other stuff. And then when I started my own firm, the phone came free with the internet. So it was just a different technology had moved quite a bit, and things turned around. How would you, given sort of the context of our times and the movement that's still happening, advisors still looking for, voting with their feet for sort of the best firm that kind of suits them. And let's take the wire versus anything, put it behind us. That war's over, right? So, the better angels kind of won that positioning in terms of culture and stuff. How would you position Father in this space?
The way that we position Farther is as and I guess a little bit about my background helps too. I used to have a $10,000 phone too when I was at Goldman. I don't know if
There
it
we
was
go.
10,000. Probably charged them $10,000. I was an advisor there, and there are great things about Goldman as an advisor there. You have lots and lots of resources behind you. You have a lot of talent behind you. Um, and yet you also have to deal with a lot of regulatory overhead, particularly coming out of the financial crisis and stuff about like
Yeah.
how many businesses they run and kind of like trying to keep things in line. And so kind of hard to operate as an advisor. Independents are free, but they have to like cobble together their
Yeah.
free of that, but they have to cobble together this like idea of a wealth stack in the market. They have to cobble together a team and try to like manage talent. What we're building farther is a national financial institution, and we're relentlessly focused on creating exceptional returns for clients. And we want advisors to go out and have that in their pocket to go win clients. That might be something new for our industry is focus on clients and not just say like, hey, let's make these widgets for advisors and see if that works. We
Well,
do a lot
I
of
think the idea of the tech stuff is, and obviously came come to the business from the business. You have a real familiarity with it, but it was kind of meant initially, oh, this is going to help clients, and you didn't know what was going to help you versus what was going to help clients. Remember, we're also swimming upstream. There was such a thing as a robo advisor, which was like a disaster, that came out. So you got to kind of navigate that water too.
Yeah, and I actually I don't know that the robo advisors were a disaster necessarily, and I actually think I know some of the folks who founded those robo advisors, and I actually thank them for kind of paving the way a little bit here for
Well, they
technology. I
did.
think
That's true. True enough.
I think like they didn't blow up. They didn't have any major sort of things. And that was like they started in a time when people were like totally like technology is no way. And that narrative has shifted completely really in the last couple of years. So without their success, I don't think that we would have existed. And I don't think we would have the opportunity that we have today to bring a better offering to clients because technology is the key to
And
the
but the product, I mean, to be clear, is very different than the robo advisor of 10 years ago. I mean, the product has
oh
evolved. And I think really the problem people had with it was your sophisticated advisor couldn't fit himself into the old robo advisor stat, right? It wasn't really meant for him and his clients. But today, what you're doing seems pretty sophisticated to me. And that would be the no, but that would be the knock, right? I'm coming from Goldman or I'm coming from wherever, and I'm going to go independent, and these guys are going to try to put me into a blank vanilla. Technology only works if everybody's the same.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's the need that Farther is answering. There are a lot of things that work in the ultra high net worth market very sophisticated. The way they solve that is throw people at it. It tends to be a little bit less reliable, a little bit less, and certainly not scalable as you go forward. But really, we kind of have three elements to our platform and how we deliver. The first is a predictive engine that sort of like plans ahead. A lot of that is operational planning around taxes and making sure we're not making mistakes and can operate on data and the like. The second is an adaptive data pipeline. I don't think advisors recognize how much they suffer from bad data. It's fundamentally the root of all items. I can look across, we have 6 custodians. When I look across them, across 6 custodians, thousands and thousands of accounts, I'll get 1,000 inoperable errors a day just from what they are delivering to us, which is like insane. And then the third part is really a kind of a returns focused engine that like accelerates core returns by making all of those calculations about how do you like actually rotate this money? What do you buy? What do you sell? Which tax lots? Those are sophisticated things that like we're bringing to the plate that like kind of robo advisors never hit, and that like larger private banks can't scale right now.
So, is any portion of that AI driven? Are you working through, AI solutions, for it, or because that's something else. I don't think advisors have the same feelings about that as they do about, robo advising. However, look, my personal opinion, AI is going to be driving a lot of alternative use because AI can certainly look backwards, but it can't look into private markets. So maybe advisors can sort of enhance, client returns and maybe their positioning by sort of doing more alternatives. So I think that's one of the drivers that AI is going to, make happen.
Yeah. So I think actually AI has given us a big lever. We founded Farther in 2019. I was working in AI initiatives at Goldman at the time, and so I was already seeing like what was to come. I think it went faster. Honestly, I'm not like I could see like the general shapes and kind of foundations of it, but it came much faster than I thought it would. But what we have is the ability to really lean into AI on the service side and do a lot of this lower value added work. Because we have a huge tail of what we do as advisors. Every subscription sheet is just a little bit different. Every way that the advisor wants to see data is just a little bit different. And that actually AI allows us to handle that long tail. And it really does a couple of things for us. It allows us to deliver information in the shape that people want it. It allows us to pick up and do like more operations and that with more reliability and greater speed. And that's what ultimately clients and advisors love is they like certainty and speed. So we've really leaned into this. We've been building out our AI stacks. It's still relatively new. We remember just a year ago, like the AI models were nowhere near where they are today, but it feels much more stable today. And we've been driving forward to automate our operations a lot using AI.
Well, again, advisors and firms are all looking for the right solution in that mix. So I think in terms of an advantage, that seems like that's one advantage that Farther has, especially given your background. Having most CEOs. I mean, look, we at our event that's coming up, and we'll have Ron Kraszewski come up there and talk, and he'll talk about, he's using AI to help make his compliance better, right? So in other words,
Yeah.
we this used to take, you know, a week to review because it's one person read. Now you have AI, and then you still have to have a human, take a look at it, but it just condenses time in such a way that's an advantage for advisors.
It's a huge advantage for advisors, and I think that it's an interesting thing though because we're witnessing a Jevons paradox moment, and this is the classic example is you build that extra highway lane to solve congestion, you still have traffic. Well, now clients are asking more, and everyone's asking more of advisors. So it's kind of like we're in this equilibrium where we're constantly pressing and doing more, but people are like, and now more, and now more. So it's actually getting harder. It was already hard to be an advisor, and now clients are demanding, I want everything in one place. I need you to handle my insurance. I need you to handle my core investments. I need you to handle alternative investments. We do all that farther today. And a lot of it is because we have just from day one been laser focused on operations, measurement, and AI as an
It's a
item.
little, it's a little bit, it's two things. It's be careful what you wish for because advisors always wanted to put themselves in that position where they could advise on everything. But now they're being taken up on it. So you really need to have an efficient solution to make that work, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I'm always like, I say there's planning, planning, and planning. Planning, like there's a holistic kind of thing. I think that battle's kind of dead. Like no one's selling stocks anymore.
Yeah.
There's planning of like, hey, I'm going to sit here and tweak some knobs and show you some graphs about like what a future looks like. And then there's planning like deep, deep tax insurance planning. It's like, don't go over to that side of the planning. Don't.
But
If you're
so,
an
so
advisor, be
from a
careful.
solution perspective, what do you guys do on that stuff? Like on the tax, the accounting, can you find some of the tech solutions for that?
Yeah, let me actually like just set the table on what we on kind of like what is core to Farther, and we really focus on what's going to drive value for clients, and really are quite investment focused on, and we really put that bucket into three things. One is accelerated core returns. Use engines to like make decisions, or smart decisions around taxes and around every action. The second is access to private opportunities that maybe you can't get. Like we all know that the shape of capital markets has changed a lot. To access growth opportunities, you need to go further down. And so we obviously have like all private equity, hedge funds, and stuff like that. But we also, as the type of firm we are, we generate our own allocations. We had direct placements with Anthropic recently. We just negotiated a placement with one of our venture partners. Like those kinds of
Yeah, no,
opportunities.
I think that's really important because, the business, and you can blame technology or not, is becoming more commoditized, right? There's always that feeling that this is, oh, I can get this anywhere, which is where I think the threat from AI comes, because AI can kind of do, this package. But it's this alternative world, it's the hedge world where they're less well known, it's harder to find, and you need an entree, to get in. And that really is a way an advisor can add value.
It's really hard, and I always try to guide advisors to, and as I guide the platform and building the platform, I say this needs to be something that people can't get themselves. Because what's the first thing that clients ask you as an advisor? Can I just do this on Schwab? Can I
Right.
just do this myself? Like, if you don't have a clean answer to that, like, oh, because you built like a tech engine, that like a quant engine, that required you to hire like an expert team from top hedge funds and places like Google, and you don't have private access to opportunities, and you don't have the ability to like structure investments across like insurance, trust and estate, and like think of those as part of your investment plan, and like you don't have anything. Like it's a weird conversation, and that's going to be a hard conversation to have with clients about why you should pay a bunch of money uh, to you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, advice versus advice versus advice. So look, tech is great, but it's a little bit impersonal. It can be impersonal, right? Can be perceived as impersonal. So the execution on this stuff, to my mind, is really where you're gonna, the rubber hits the road. Because look, advisors at the end of the day, they want the tech and everything else, but it's their relationship with the client, as you know, that ultimately breeds success. So what's the answer?
And And the answer is embedded to how we built this. We went out when we started this company, and we said we're going to bring people and technology together. The technology is going to elevate the people to build better relationships. And this is fundamentally like just from like we start to get like very philosophical about what's the like value of things. I don't want to live in a tech world where it's just run by machines. I want to run in a people where in a world where people are interacting with each other. And that's what's great about advisors. That's was great about client relationships. But the problem is that most advisors are heads down today in screens trying to figure out why their data is not correct from their custodian. And they're figuring out they're trying to figure out how to fill out subscription documents. They aren't being elevated by technology, and that's the interplay. So we want to have a really tight technological core with a human overlay that is like that makes it a concierge experience that sort of like makes it more human, I guess.
It's also, I would imagine, confidence boosting to know and to tell clients, because clients understand technology is coming. They don't know everything about it, certainly don't know everything about fintech, but they also don't want to be behind the times. They want to at least know that they're at the cutting edge. This is their money, right? It's an important thing. They want to make sure their advisor is advantaged with everything. And you want to be able with confidence to say, hey, I'm on top of all this stuff, or we're on top of all of it.
Yes, yes. And it's a very interesting relationship people have with technology right now. Number one question, people are like, I love this. What about security? Am I going to get am I going to get, like, is something bad going to happen? And the reality is that we do a lot of work to make sure that we do that. And from us, like building on a modern stack, partnering with the top cybersecurity partners and our cloud providers to build that makes it so like we know how to secure things. Like
Right.
it's not a question. We built that out over the last decade or so. It's a constantly moving target, but it's not something there, but people are not yet quite comfortable with it, and making sure you can ride that journey there and give them an on-ramp for technology, both in like, hey, I'm interacting with things differently. Hey, I'm doing this over here now where I used to call a person to do it, or like give them that path and they'll be really good to go. That's kind of how we think about it. Is we think a lot about how we bring people into the future, make sure they feel comfortable as they come, and people as both clients and advisors, because advisors are shifting into this new AI technology world.
So that brings up a question, which is, what's the future for the wealth management business? Not just for Farther, but where do you see it going?
I think history is a useful guide here, and we've seen technological change before. I think there are going to be a lot of shifts in what people do. I think it'll be hard to. I think a lot of people, advisors, client service people, have built up an operational identity, which is I do that. I put the words into the form. That's going to be a hard position to have as technology. You can actually logically prove that, like, and say, I'm going to show you basically mathematical proof that this is correct. Technology will do it faster, better, stronger than anyone. However, people still want to interact, and we see that across the board. They want to interact not just on like the emotional stuff, and I think sometimes we get a little bit too sappy here, but people want to deal with other people, and I think that's going to be very, very constant. So I think you're going to see much more productive advisors. I think you're going to see advisors doing very high value added work. I think and not I think, I know because I've heard advisors say this, they're going to be a lot happier.
Well,
And
I think people embrace change, not to date myself or to date you, but when I first started this business and I started at Merrill Lynch, it wasn't like a, bad firm. There was one computer that was on a Lazy Susan for four guys, and it was
nice.
we wrote paper tickets. They had a magic box in the corner that always had a line on it, and it was miraculous because it was a fax machine, so you could fax documents to a client, and it took maybe 6 minutes a page for the fax, for one page of a fax to go through. And then we also had pink sheets and things like that were actually on paper, so that you'd have to look up yourself, on paper. So,
That's amazing. Like,
well,
can you
I tell you, we embraced the technology as it came along. There wasn't even, I mean, that's when they started the CMA accounts. Like, oh, you can actually have a checking account with just as an example, advisors were worried why would you want to give clients a check out of their brokerage account? All that means is they're going to send their money somewhere else. So I mean, that was the mentality, right? So I think guys or advisors, men and women, are really more open to technology today, and they see its quick advantages on things like their newsletters and stuff like that. But there's always going to be you know a remainder that's going to be confused by it.
I actually think that there's never been a firm that's existed like ours before, where we started technology and people at the core. Let's build this elite team of technologists to kind of relentlessly focus on building basically a big harpoon for advisors to go throw, which is more money for you because that's what clients want. When we survey them, about 86% of them say, "Why don't you use a wealth advisor?"
Yeah.
Well, to grow my
Well,
wealth.
so to that point, and to my earlier point, this business is aging, right? I mean, everyone's looking for junior partners and things like that. Would a 60-year-old financial advisor sitting on 400 million, $500 million feel comfortable coming to Father and it's like, hey, I'm not really a tech guy, but I want to.
100%. And this goes back to what I said about building pathways and building trust along the journey. We go overboard to sort of starting to get to the future starts with a great transition. We don't want to disrupt too much for you as you come on in. We want to provide a path for you to kind of like operate your business as it is today, and then leg into the new model. And we can show now, for example, in the new model, like advisors who really embrace it more quickly, they grow 4 times faster than
Yeah.
other advisors. Like that's so like we're getting this nice kind of thing. We have this nice thing where it's like, let's make sure that you come along for the journey, that you are going at your own pace, but like also have results to say, hey, here's some motivation to get there. And I don't think that combination exists broadly in the industry of like,
Well, that's the execution part of it, because it's one thing to have all this technology; it's another thing to actually execute it with the people that are going to be doing it, right? You got to make
you
sure.
know, this is so true. Is like, and I have sat around for years, and if you read consultant reports, if you sit in any boardroom, they're all saying the right things, but Hey, are you showing up every day and grinding
They've
against
never
that?
done it. No, I'm a consultant that thinks, and I'm a lawyer that you don't want as your lawyer, and I'm a consultant thinks consultants are idiots. So, I mean, it's just you can't. You had to have done it before. What's the point?
Well, I think that that's not the point. Is not consultants are idiots. The point is the consultants are right. It's just now it's like hand you the ball and run with it, and it's actually it's quite something to actually execute against it. And that's what we're relentlessly focused on at Farther is bringing that into execution. I actually probably would have been a Goldman lifer, but at the end of the day, it's actually easier to do it out here and sort of like start from new principles and start with the right culture, start with the right people, kind of filter as you go. Like we've grown by bringing the right advisors, people who are client focused, people who want to grow, people who are really engaged in the top of this industry. Not everyone is there, or in the sort of trajectory of this industry. Not everyone's there, and that's fine.
So where are you in 5 years? Where's farther in 5 years? Everybody who founded it is on a yacht somewhere, sailing away, by the advice.
The yachts are driven by AI.
Yeah,
Like
totally
advisors
AI
doing all the
yachts.
work, we're just hanging out
Robots,
with clients.
robots are cooking your
Uh,
food.
with clients all the time. I mean, in 5 years, we are going to be a pretty significant client financial institution. We should be spoken about in the same vein as the Goldmans of the world, providing an elite experience for clients that is focused on growing their wealth. We should have thousands of advisors at that point, and we should be serving millions and millions of clients across the globe. And that's the sort of future that we're building. You think differently when you're building that kind of future. You don't think about how do I like financially engineer things and like do play this weird like kind of like small pie game. You think about how the pie gets bigger, and that's what we're focused on.
Fantastic. Well, that's a high note. I'm gonna end it on that. So I appreciate the comments and all this stuff. Obviously, there's more to unpack and talk about. So we'll do this again. But it was really nice to have you on the show, bro. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Tony. It's great talking today.